Let's turn our attention now to airlines, with Delta releasing its latest financial results with a miss on earnings estimates, higher fuel costs causing pain for the airline. However, another pain point for the industry has been staffing and worker wages as the demand in travel soars. We've got Brad Smith here with his conversation with Ed Bastian. A lot of headwinds for the company, but certainly not unique to Delta.
Not unique to Delta, and the entirety of the broader airfare and traveling experience is really navigating through this right now. And one thing that we've continued to break down is those input costs, not just on fuel, because of course that is up year over year, but also there is a pilot strain right now. And we had the opportunity to speak with Ed Bastian about this. I believe we have a clip from that discussion here and want to just give our viewers a little snippet of that, and then we can break that down a little bit further on the other side.
No, it's not a wage fight. Our pilots at Delta are the best paid in the industry, and they have been for a very long time, and they will continue to be. And we're in the midst of contract negotiations at the present, which I'm not going to give any discussion. I'm not going to have any discussion around. But I want to make certain you know, though, this is not about a wage fight. This is about ensuring that our pilots continue to be well compensated for the great job they do.
And so there you heard from Ed Bastian really looking through this pipeline that they're looking to unlock with regard to pilots. And what they've said in the past is that this could be another 1 to 2 years before they really see the necessary type of pilot kind of capacity, rather, to really reinstitute some of the levels of operation from 2019. This is a company that's still operating at 82% of 2019 levels. That's lower, actually, than what they had forecasted previously. They were looking for about 84%. But that also is a much broader kind of strategic mission that they're looking to enact right now, operating at that 82% capacity in order to still be able to service customers in the best way possible as of right now.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a big reason, not just the pilot shortage, but shortages across the entire airline industry for a lot of the cancellations that we've seen. Wondering if we just kind of go back to the earnings report itself, how has that impacted the numbers? Do we expect that as of July, things got better so that we should maybe have better guidance for future quarters?
Well, so those are some of the costs that many of the airlines will bake into their operations, whether they have to overbook in order to then go back to a customer and say, hey, yeah, that viral story, remember when Delta had offered somebody $10,000 to get off of a flight?
Nobody took it.
And nobody took it.
I mean, I would have taken that, by the way.
Look, I think all of us would have raised our hands and ran towards the exit and egressed very efficiently. But I think at the end of the day, too, for this time period that they are operating on the reduced capacity, on the reduced routes even, that they're deciding to make sure that they are seeing the most profit margins on the routes that they are taking in this near-term period. What was really sticking out to me from what we talked about with Ed Bastian was that over the extended period of time that they're looking at demand, they're not seeing demand lighten up at all. And so that fare price, I'm sorry, customers, those fare prices are not going to come down because the demand is still staying high, even through the rest of this year as well.
In many ways, that story you bring up about the $10,000 really points to the challenge, right? Airlines face is, number one, they have staffing shortages, they're reducing capacity, and yet that demand, that determination, if you will, it's not going away because that has been pent up for the last 2 years. So in terms of the capacity issue, what are we hearing from Ed Bastian? How much longer that's likely to continue? I mean, they just did reduce the number of airlines or flights July 4th weekend.
Right. And so what I had asked them on that front was a few things. Number one, when the number of pilots necessary would be unlocked, 1 to 2 years, as I said earlier, but also the types of aircrafts that those pilots are going to be expected to fly as well, because that really bakes into the conversation. And then that's probably why he didn't want to give me too much on where those negotiations are moving forward right now, because they have both negotiations with the pilots union that are ongoing right now, but then also negotiations reportedly with Boeing, which he did acknowledge in our conversation. Wouldn't give us too much detail. They're very much committed to the Airbus Neo as well. But that 737 MAX, that's also been weighed by some of the aircraft operators or airline operators as of right now. That could be something that is pivotal to how the negotiations with pilots shape out, and then unlocking the necessary number of pilots to actually get back to the operating capacity that they had seen pre-pandemic as well.
Just negotiations with everyone. Hopefully, I hope the one negotiation that they can, make sure they keep intact is the one with Cheez-Its, because Delta, they serve Cheez-Its on their planes, which is why I like. Yeah, well, at least the routes that I were on, I was getting Cheez-Its at least.
It's the craft cocktails in the Delta Comfort Plus that you really got to look forward to.
Okay, I've never experienced that before. I just get the Cheez-Its and economy.
Experience.
Yeah. Oh man, that's peak for me.
All right, well, Yahoo Finance's Brad Smith, Chief Cocktail Correspondent. Thanks so much for joining the show. Appreciate it.